already. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. That's a strange light.
Hans, fix your beard. It's yeah, you got some snot in there and some oatmeal.
This is better. Strange that the light is so white, but it doesn't matter.
You saving that oatmeal for later or what?
There's no oatmeal. I haven't eaten this morning. You want it? Good morning, everyone. Today, despite Michael Skye saying we talked about this a lot, I want to pin him down, and I want to talk about what it means to be an ally, what allyship is, looking for a definition, but also seeing how it's different from a relationship. In the past couple of days, I've been talking and writing about relationships and what does it mean when we get into a relationship, when we get together, when we are the boyfriend, what qualitative leap have we taken? And I've struggled with it my whole life because in many ways I feel it's not much more than a set of assumptions, presuppositions, expectations about how your behavior has to be. And it's very disempowering, I think, the way we look at relationships. And so you have a concept that's called allyship. And if I get it right, it is mainly about you proposing to the other, when we're talking about women, for example, you proposing to the woman to be her ally, or more making a stand and showing up as the ally. And so what I would like, I love the concept because it goes beyond friendship, but I would like to try to find a way to define it, see how it's different from a friendship, from a relationship, and how to be an ally for someone. So I'll ask you, what does it mean to be an ally? Can you define it?
It is undefinable by its nature. No, it's, I'm not going to give you like a precise definition, but let's talk about it. So what is a friendship? People could say different things about a friendship, but the difference between a friendship and an allyship, a friendship has to do with liking the other person. And an allyship does not. So
we're allies.
Yes. I hate this motherfucker, but I'm his ally. So it's really the allyship is more about you, who you choose to be for yourself and the other. So I am my own ally, and I'm your ally, and it's not. My stand is not dependent on me liking you or how you show up. Basically, I'm not gonna back down from my commitment to myself or my commitment to you based on how I feel, how you feel, how you've been showing up, how I've been showing up. It's like there's no excuses.
So
extreme ownership, ultimate leadership. Yeah.
Yes, but that still doesn't show me okay. So, but I like this. If you're friends, you're probably together because you like each other and you like each other's company. But if you're an ally for someone, it's a way you choose to show up in the world, and it's a way you choose to interact with people. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's still vague though.
Yes. So how is that way of showing up? What does the ally do? If you're my ally, or if you're an ally for, say, humanity, whatever, what is the commitment? What is the stand that you make in the way of how you want to show up in the world? What is that?
I think allies and alliance, it's mostly used in terms of war. Yeah, so if we're allies in war, we're different sovereign nations. Mm-hmm. And we have each other's back. If you get attacked, I'm coming to defend you. If I get attacked, you're coming to defend me. Mm-hmm. With Black Lives Matter in this movement now, an ally is someone who, like, let's say that you're black in this paradigm, and
I'm not.
And you tell me that being your ally is basically doing whatever you say. It's supporting you in everything that you feel, every grievance that you have, and rolling over and acquiescing and just. And to me, that's more about being a slave than an ally. You know. So, but this also has to do with friendship, because you might say that if I'm your friend, if you are feeling like a victim, then if I'm your friend, I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to challenge you to rise up. So there's ways that you can betray yourself, and you can betray and values and dreams and your people. And if I'm a friend, you know, I might be more friendly with your personality or your emotions or however you're identifying yourself in the moment. But an ally it's more a relationship with the highest you, not with, like, you could say the
highest you of the other.
Yes.
Okay, so what we got so far.
The highest me with
I
the
understand.
highest you.
I can see I got to keep you on track, and I'm going to do it. I'm taking charge of this. What's great, what you got so far is this, and I think this is good, is when friendship is based on liking each other, to be an ally is a way you yourself choose to show up in the world and choose to be for others, independent of how they are. So we leave the normal, more common definitions of allies, you know, aside. It is really a way that you say you want to make a stand. This is how I want to be in the world. This is how I want to be for people. This is how I want to show up. And then the way you show up is you see the other person, you know their highest values, and you don't let them play, you don't let them act not in accordance with those higher values. Is that something like this?
Well, it's not about letting them act a
Yes.
certain way or not, but it's, yeah, I mean, I can see there's a struggle, like you want to really get like a precise definition,
Yes.
you know, and I don't know if we're going to be able to achieve that on the call today. But, for example, yesterday morning, during our morning integration ritual, we'd had a narrating the war ritual, which is this ritual that we do, where I felt like I was pulling teeth. You know, you had a complaint about how I was being, and you were kind of resigned to that. And then I said, okay, well, pushing harder is not going to work here. Let me back off. Let me see how I can be in a way that calls him out. And then it seemed like, I don't know, it was very much seeming like this thing could go in a downward spiral. We could lose this ritual. And then we start making up things about each other, you know. If I'm your ally, I'm not going to let those judgments build towards you and start reacting to those judgments as if they're true. So I take responsibility for that. And then also, you know, if I see it going on in you taking yourself into a downward spiral, I'm likely going to call you out on it. Now, if calling you out on it doesn't work, that's not an excuse for me to back off and not stand for our highest potential. It's like whatever could have me back off and have an excuse for not standing for our highest good, if, you know, being an ally is not allowing that to happen.
So if being an ally means to stand for the highest good of the other, that's tricky waters. Yes, we talked about this.
And with not excluding yourself
yes,
in that equation.
Standing for your highest good, standing for the highest good of the other. But I think a big part of this, or let me ask you this, who decides on what the highest good is for the other? Like, who are you to decide what's my highest good?
Well, it's not for me to decide, you know, but it's, you know, with some experience, you know, in relationship with someone, you can know when they're doing their thing, you know, when they're going in this pattern of downward spiral where they forget what they're committed to. They forget their values.
Exactly. But that is the thing that you said before, and I think is great. You're holding them to their highest good, meaning you're holding them to what they know, have spoken, have been being, to their highest values, their commitments, their goals, their whatever they.
And it could even be more.
Yeah, whatever they know and have spoken. You know, so
and even if they haven't spoken it,
yes.
Like if you see that they're playing small, if they're letting themselves off the hook, if there's more potential in them, you speak to that also. Like I see you as way up here.
Yes.
You know, and I speak to that and I call you to that. Now it doesn't mean that that this is where you should be or that I know that you want this.
Yes.
But if I see this greater good for you, I'm inviting you to that. Look to that. See that. I'm calling you to it.
Well, now you go into the how to do this, because I see that, and it's great. You standing for their highest values, goals, commitments, whatever that is, and you call them to that. It's an invitation. So there are many ways of doing that, correct? There are many ways of standing for that. You could call someone out directly. You know, you could tease them. You could fight them. You know, you could. Okay. So how does that look, inviting them into it? Is that like you making a stand for it means you see what that highest good is, and then you try to knowing the other person, you try to understand what is the best way to invite them to that, to call them to that?
Well, for example, you know, last year I was in Mexico in an airport with a woman. And we were talking about my work and stuff like this, and started speaking to how she saw me like in the future making an impact in the lives of young people, and she was inspired by this vision and who she saw I was. She might not have even been intending to call me to that, but it had that effect.
Yes.
You know, so. You know, we talk about the honor work. It's very much about remembering in your heart who someone is, but it's also reminding them, their heart, who they are, who they can be. The how-to is big. There's a lot of possibility there.
Yes.
But it's, you know, most of the time we are falling asleep, in the sense that most of the time we're forgetting our values. We're forgetting who we could be. We're forgetting who this other person is to us. So the honor work, simply bringing the honor work to another is being an ally. You know, it's like reawakening their heart to themselves, to their highest potential, to their values. Does that make sense? Yes.
I mean, and I don't want to get into there, because I think there's still a lot to explore here. If you're calling, okay, let me ask you this: if you're calling someone to their highest, if you're being an ally, you call them to the highest, and you see it's not working, what are you thinking? What is your reaction?
Fuck this motherfucker. Well, and herein lies also like really distinguishing between, like, who is I? You know, this person says in this moment, I don't want your help, I don't like you, whatever. Like, do I believe that? No, I don't. I don't take that, because people speak for themselves in many different ways. And when it's coming from a reaction, I don't take that statement of I this da as true. I don't love you, I don't care, I don't this, I don't that. I don't take that as their true I. because it's like we lie all the time about. So I take like our awakened I, the one that's coming from our heart, as that's the real one, you know. So also for myself, if I hear myself judging someone up, you know, F this motherfucker or whatever, like, I don't take that as what I really feel. You know, and I have to remember in my heart, my highest self as well. So being an ally is constantly remembering, who am I for my people?
Right.
And who are they?
I guess what I'm seeing is the danger, and what I'm speaking to is the danger of deciding for the other what their highest good is, and then
It's not that.
Yeah, I know.
that someone could try to do that.
Yes, that's the danger of it. That under the thing of allyship, you know, like parents do with children, we love you, so don't disappoint us, you know. And so to decide what's good for the other and then force them into that, you know. And so I'm trying to see, because there is a way.
This is. I just want to say, this is like one of the eternal mysteries. You know?
Okay.
This is a leadership challenge, a leadership conundrum. I don't know if you've seen. There's a movie. I'm not remembering the name of it, but where this music instructor pushes I think they're high school students or maybe university. He pushes them to the breaking point and beyond. And they're like, I can't do it. And they have all these narrations that come up that are out of their limited self, out of their weakness, you know. And then after much blood, sweat, and tears, it's like the military, you know, you've beaten down the new recruits who are all speaking from a lower self. And then they emerge and they're a much stronger self, like a new self is born in a way. They realize, whoa, who I was acting out before is not who I really am. And it's almost like they transform, but they also realize they're more than they ever thought possible. Now, if that drill sergeant, if that music instructor backed off at the first sign of like, I don't want to do this, or I don't feel like it, or whatever, was he a real ally? You know, but then maybe he pushes them too far. They break down. It traumatizes them, right? There's not like a clear line there of where is too far.
But there is a touchstone, and we talked about this before, and it is, I think that's really the key in all of this, is that the person you show up for as an ally feels cared for. He or she feels cared for by you. And I think that's a great touch. If they, of course, you still got to ask it, and they could be angry and say something. But if that's the real touchstone, does that person feel cared for by you? And that's the difference between a bully or whatever, or say someone who decides for you what's your highest good and tries to guilt trip you into getting there, or someone who sees your highest good, knows your highest good, and cares for you and speaks to that, you know. And I think the key is the other person feels cared for. And
it's a great rule of thumb, but there's levels to the game, you know. So for example, you know, at a higher level of us playing together, we could take on a commitment to whatever challenge comes back. Like when I want to resist you, when I want to react, when I want to fight, I'm committed to remembering you're standing for my highest good, even if you're doing it in a fucked up way, whatever. Like, and I level up, and I could even invite you to bring it in the ugliest way, in the nastiest way. You know, like I can have such a high commitment for myself that I take whatever comes up as a call to rise up. So, and in that sense, you could challenge me. You could challenge the fuck out of me. And then if I react, we get to learn from that. Like, you treated me for a second as if I don't really have your highest good in my heart.
Right.
You know? So I just want to say, like, there's real levels to the game that we can play when it comes to being an ally. But when you're playing with someone who, I would say, where most people are playing at, Yeah, it generally is really important that they feel you care.
Yes. So we got a couple of elements so far, which I think are interesting. I'm going to go over them, and then I'm going to ask you the difference with relationship, friendship. Is that to be an ally is a stand you make of how you want to show up in the world, how you want to be for the other. And the way you want to be, or the way you want to show up for the other, is you're calling him, her, to their highest version, to their own highest values. So you're calling them to that, you're inviting them to that, and
even beyond.
And even beyond, to what they could be. And a great touchstone, rule of thumb, to understand if you're doing it well, is to see, or is that the other feels cared for. The last is a bit, I want to do it because I see the dangers of using I'm being an ally as an excuse to just really disregard the other, and guilt trip them. What do you see as the difference with relationships, or nowadays friendships?
Well, there's no real distinction with most human beings between the I, that's the ally or the highest level, and the I that's reactive. So, if you are coming back at me with a bunch of, let's say, lower level I's, if I'm your friend, I want to really respect that and care for that and all this sort of thing, If I'm your ally, I don't buy into any of that. Now, I might be caring and gentle with you in that moment, but I'm not going to believe for a second the shit that's coming out of your mouth.
So would it be fair to say that a friend keeps you comfortable where you're at, while the ally calls you to your highest potential?
Generally, it's not, and I just want to distinguish, like, we might be using this word friend different from how other people do, but I think it's a useful distinction to do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, a friend keeps me comfortable. So if a friend comes over and, we're watching the game or whatever, he's not going to just suddenly start calling me to my highest good or saying,
right.
Yeah, do you really want to be watching TV right now? You could be going for your business or something,
Right.
Like a friend's, that might be rude. A friend's going to have you feel comfortable generally in your vices, in your comfort zone.
Yes.
A friend's going to hang out with you in your comfort zone and not remind you of who you could be.
And would you say that most relationships, even romantic or also romantic relationships nowadays, are friendships at best?
Well, I think in the beginning, like in a romantic relationship, you really see someone for who they could be. You see them in a romantic way, like a heroic way, in a beautiful way, and that is inspiring to the other person. They want to live up to that. The man wants to be a greater man in the presence of a woman who really he feels sees him and his potential.
Right.
And this is what feels amazing. This is what we kind of fall in love with. It's like, wow. And then over time, as the judgments build up, then we come more to a place where we don't feel that anymore. We're tolerating each other. We're trying to get along. We're trying to make it work out. We're trying, We are not really standing. And in an alliance, you're really holding that initial love space as the benchmark. And you like, I'm going to remind this person who they are. I'm going to see them for their greatness in a way that inspires them to live up to it. And
so what are some of the ways to be an ally, say in relationships?
In a romantic relationship?
For example, yeah.
Well, Deborah and I, had a practice of every morning, we would, at 8 a.m. in the morning, we would face each other, take each other's hands, look in each other's eyes, and we would go through the who you are for me, who I am for you work. And it's like it's like poetry, but you're speaking from the heart, and you're really looking to see who is this person in terms of what they face and what they stand for. It's in that heroic, romantic light of looking to see their highest self, you know, and it reminds them who they are in a really beautiful way. It puts them in a story that has them desire to rise and live into that.
Right.
And then you say who you are for the other in the same kind of a way. Then them and who they are for you. And that's, I mean, that practice alone was really powerful. So that's one thing. That's one.
Many ways, and we could go into it to maybe another time, but yeah, I think the last thing you said here is very important, is that it is a practice. And that's also probably where the difficulty of defining it resides. You know, this is a learning process, and it's like a martial art, you know, developing it, practicing it, becoming better at it. And so it's not a conversation you have once and for all, and then it's done.
Well, it's like, what is a master martial artist? You know, like, how does he move, think, react? What does it mean to be a master martial artist? You know, it's like you're kind of grasping for it, and until you move to higher levels, you're not gonna understand that much, even if you define it in words. You know? Or it's like, what is it to be enlightened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can try to grasp at it and define it, but it's not gonna. Yeah. A definition is not gonna.
An effort must be made.
Yes.
So I think what we get today, and I like this, is we started off by saying friends are together because they like each other. Allies, or an ally, is a way that you choose to show up in life. You make a stand for.
I have another way.
Wait, I'm not done. Is for the greatness of the other. You want to call them to their own greatness. And a great touchstone of that is that they feel cared for by you. And so when friends keep each other in the comfort zone, an ally invites the other to their own greatness, their own biggest goals, values, and sees them in that light and calls them to it. And ways to do that, very practical ways. One of them, for example, is the honoring conversation, where you speak to the other who they are for you and who you are for them, and you see them in that heroic sense, what they've been standing for, the mountain they've been facing, and the stand that they make.
You could say that the friend hangs out with you in your comfort zone, right? Where it's comfortable being far less than who you are, not confronted with your greatness. And the ally is hanging out in a much higher zone, let's say the ally zone or whatever. And if you're down there, he's not coming down to hang out with you and forget your highest self.
Yes.
He's remembering himself, so the ally is continually calling himself to go up to the ally zone, and then inviting you to come there and be there, and reminding you of the you that is there.
It's great.
In a way.
Now imagine you're a guy and you feel sometimes, or you feel pressured into committing more to women, and you're struggling, like, what does that mean? What does it mean to get together, to be in a relationship, to be the boyfriend, you know? And I know a lot of men struggle with that, in the sense that for them relationships are commitment, and then they want to be clear what it is, you know? And imagine that instead of reacting to what the woman brings in that, like, say, feels a pressure by her expectations only, for example, for you to commit more. Imagine that you can come with this proposal. Imagine that you can show up as her ally. And I say imagine because that's what I've been doing with women. And it's way more powerful than what she ever thought of as a commitment.
Yeah,
it's way more powerful than the thing that she thinks she needs from you, which is the boyfriend, or you know, he can't see other women or look at other women, or what is he doing tonight?
As a man, you need to have a greater calling than her call to you to be whatever her version of boyfriend or husband is. You have to have an even greater calling. And an ally, being an ally is a great calling. And
like as is often with honor, if you have this kind of like, you feel this kind of battle, like she wants me to commit and I don't know what it is. This thing of like of being an ally is just completely like, it's breaking it all apart. Like if it's not there, because it's way more bigger. It's like any argument in culture wars, or like honor comes in. It's a complete different way of dealing with each other. And so imagine if you could figure out and you can make a stand for being an ally, and you find the ways and you train to be an ally for your woman, you know, these discussions about commitment and who am I to you and what is this, you know, they're going to be inconsequential, because you're going to come from a place and you're going to lead that relationship into something completely way more powerful than she ever thought of.
You know, we have, and one great challenge in these times is this idea of equality and 50-50, and there is, you know, the man is no longer the leader of the woman in the relationship and all these sorts of things. And I think this in many ways can make a relationship far more challenging. And if a man assumes the responsibility for the leadership, what that means is if there's conflict, he's not battling with her on an equal level to win the battle. He's leading like you said, the relationship to glory, you know? So
he's not just the protagonist in this movie of fighting, but he's also the director, making sure that this goes well.
It's like the difference between a parent who is friends with their child and who, when their child gets upset, the parent gives in to be the friend so that their child likes them. And the parent that is willing to tolerate the upset of their child to be the leader that their child needs to lead them to glory.
So you see the intention of that, then the practice is how to do that. This is really tough to be the leader. Am I still like really caring? Am I doing the right thing? You know, can I stand this
Man, you need to be her daddy.
Well, I don't know that, but like in a dance, you know, someone needs to lead, and lead your woman into adventure, lead your woman into glory, you know, and you could do that by showing up as an ally. And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of practice, but it's a glorious journey.
Yeah, and not just showing up as an ally, but being committed in yourself to being that for the people in your world. And if you want to learn more about that,
contact us.
Yes.
Send us messages.
Hasta la vista.